The moment my daughter looked at me and said, "Nobody needs you," I knew she wasn't just leaving for Europe. She was leaving me behind before the story begins. Subscribe and tell me where you're watching from. Now let me tell you what happened after my daughter decided I no longer mattered. My name is David Harrison. I was 74 years old, widowed, retired, and living alone in the house where I'd raised my only child. My daughter, Emily, stood beside the front door with 2 expensive suitcases. Her husband, Mark, waited outside in their black SUV. 3 weeks, Emily said. Paris, Rome, Venice, and Barcelona. That sounds beautiful, I replied. It will be. I expected her to ask if I needed anything. She didn't. Instead, she placed a list on the kitchen counter. Feed the cat every morning. Water the plants twice a week. Don't change the thermostat. I looked at the paper. Are these instructions for me? For the house? I live here, I know, Dad. I'm just making sure nothing goes wrong. You're worried about the house. It's valuable. I waited. She never asked how I would manage alone. Then I noticed my wife Helen's photograph beside the fireplace. Emily followed my eyes. You should put that away, she said. Why? It makes the room depressing. That picture was taken on your graduation day. I know. Your mother cried because she was proud of you. Emily checked her phone. Mark says we need to leave. Emily. What? Sit with me for 5 minutes, she sighed. Dad, we're already late. You'll be gone for 3 weeks. And I may not see you again before you leave. You're seeing me now. That isn't the same. Her expression hardened. Why do you always make everything emotional? Because you're my daughter, and I have my own life. I know. Then stop acting like I'm responsible for making you happy. I never asked you to make me happy. You complain that I don't visit, because I miss you. You complain that I don't call, because I worry. You complain that you're alone, because I am. She crossed her arms. Dad, you're retired. You don't have responsibilities anymore. I stared at her. For 30 years you were my responsibility. I didn't ask you to do all that. No child asks. Exactly. Her words landed harder than she knew. I remembered working night shifts to pay her college tuition. I remembered selling my truck when she wanted to start her business. I remembered Helen and me skipping vacations so Emily could travel with friends. But I said nothing. Emily picked up her passport. Look, you'll be fine. I didn't say I wouldn't. Then what's the problem? The problem is that you're leaving without asking whether your father needs anything. She laughed quietly. Dad, nobody needs you to take care of them anymore. I looked at her. And you think nobody needs me? She shrugged. Honestly. She opened the front door. Nobody needs you. Then she walked away. I followed her to the window. Mark loaded her final suitcase. Emily got into the passenger seat. The SUV pulled away. She never looked back. For several minutes I stood alone beside the window. Then I returned to the kitchen. Her list was still there. Feed the cat, water the plants, protect the house. I turned the paper over and wrote, "Nobody needs you." I wanted to remember the exact words. That evening, I ate soup alone. Halfway through dinner, I opened Emily's contact. I almost called. Then I stopped. If nobody needed me, maybe I should stop waiting to be needed. The next morning, I opened the closet in my bedroom. Behind Helen's old coats was a locked metal box. I hadn't touched it since she died 4 years earlier. Inside were insurance papers, property documents, and a sealed envelope. The envelope had Helen's handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. The letter contained only one sentence. David, if Emily ever forgets what family means, call Robert Hale. Below the message was a phone number. I stared at the date. Helen had written it 15 years earlier. Why would she expect this? I searched the box again. Under the letter was a folder labeled Harrison Family Foundation. Inside were financial records. The first page showed a number I couldn't believe. Then I saw another document. Helen had secretly placed assets into a trust. The value was more than $18 million. Emily knew nothing about it. Neither did Mark. At the bottom was another instruction. Do not discuss this with Emily until Robert explains everything. I called the number. A man answered immediately. Robert Hale speaking. My name is David Harrison. There was silence. Then he said, Mr. Harrison, I've been waiting 4 years for this call. Why? Your wife left instructions. What instructions? I can't explain them over the phone. Then when can we meet? Today. Is something wrong? No. His voice became serious. "But what Helen arranged will change your life." I looked at the empty chair across from me. Emily was already flying toward Europe. She believed I would spend 3 weeks alone. She believed nobody needed me. But Helen had left behind a secret worth $18 million. And according to Robert, that money was only the beginning. Robert Hale's office was on the 22nd floor of a glass building downtown. When I arrived, his assistant led me into a conference room overlooking the city. Robert was waiting. He was a tall man in his 60s with silver hair and a serious expression. "Mr. Harrison," he said, shaking my hand, "your wife trusted you would eventually call. Why? Because Helen knew your daughter would one day make you feel unwanted." I sat down slowly. She knew Emily would say those things. Not exactly, but she noticed changes. Robert placed a thick folder on the table. 15 years ago, Helen discovered something about the company where you worked." "What company?" "Northbridge Development." I frowned. "I retired from there 12 years ago." "I know." "You worked there for 36 years?" "Yes." "And during those years you helped secure land that later became one of the most valuable commercial districts in the state." "I was only a project manager." "That's what the company told you." Robert opened the folder. "They never told you that your original contract included profit-sharing rights." I stared at him. "What? Your signature appears here." He turned a document toward me. My name was printed near the bottom. "You were entitled to a percentage of future profits." "Then why didn't I receive anything?" "Because the company reclassified your position after you retired." "Was that legal?" "No." "Then why didn't anyone tell me?" "Because Helen found the documents after your retirement." I leaned forward. "She knew." "Yes." "And she never said anything?" "She hired investigators first." Robert handed me another report. Helen had spent years collecting evidence. She discovered that Northbridge had withheld millions from former employees. But my case was different. The company had used land I helped acquire to build a luxury business district. My share had grown every year. "How much?" I asked. Robert paused. "Your unpaid profits are worth approximately $12 million. I looked at him. $12 million? That's separate from the family trust." I couldn't speak. Yesterday I believed I was an ordinary retired man. Now I was learning that my wife had protected more than $30 million. Robert opened another folder. "Helen didn't want you to know until you were ready." "Ready for what?" "To decide what kind of legacy you wanted." He showed me a letter. It was written in Helen's handwriting. "David, money can protect a family, but it cannot create love. If Emily ever remembers you only when she needs something, do not let guilt decide your future." I read the words twice. Then Robert said, "There's more." He placed a photograph on the table. It showed Emily and Mark standing outside my house. The picture was taken 3 months earlier. "What is this?" "Mark hired someone to investigate your property. He believed the house was worth more than you realized." I felt my stomach tighten. "Emily knew." "We don't know." Robert handed me a second report. Mark had contacted a real estate company. He had asked about buying nearby land. Then he asked whether my property could be sold after my death. I stared at the page. He was planning something. Yes, what Robert pointed to a highlighted paragraph. Mark wanted to convince me to move into a retirement community. Once I left, he planned to renovate the house and sell it. The estimated profit was nearly $2 million. I remembered Emily's list. Protect the house. She hadn't asked whether I was okay. She had only worried about the property. Suddenly, everything felt different. "Did Emily know?" I asked again. Robert looked away. "I can't prove it." My phone vibrated. Emily was calling. For a moment I considered ignoring it. Then I answered. "Dad." Her voice sounded cheerful. "We landed in Paris." "That's nice." "Are you okay?" I almost laughed. It was the first time she had asked. "I'm fine." "Good." Then she became quiet. "Dad, did anyone come by the house?" "No." "Did you open the metal box?" My hand tightened around the phone. "What metal box?" "The one in your closet." I looked at Robert. He was watching me. "Why would you ask that?" "No reason." "Emily." "What? How do you know about the box?" Silence. Then she said, "Mark mentioned it." "Why?" He was helping organize the house last year. He went through my closet. Dad, don't make this a big deal. The same words again. Don't make this a big deal. I looked at Helen's letter. Then I said, enjoy Paris. Wait, did you open it? I have to go. Dad, I ended the call. Robert leaned forward. You understand now? Yes. What will you do? I looked out the window. For years I had waited for Emily to need me. But maybe I had been asking the wrong question. Maybe the question was, who needed my help more? I closed the folder. I want to see the foundation. Robert nodded. There's one condition. What? You must visit it without telling anyone. Why? Because Helen created it in your name, my name? Yes. She wanted you to see what your life had already changed. An hour later, Robert drove me to an old neighborhood across town. We stopped outside a large brick building. A sign stood above the entrance. Harrison Family Center. Children were playing in the courtyard. Inside, volunteers served meals. A young woman approached me. Are you David Harrison? Yes, she smiled. My mother told me to thank you. For what? You paid for my college scholarship. I did. Your foundation did. I looked at Robert. He explained that Helen had used the trust to fund education, housing, and emergency care. For 15 years, families had received help in my name, and I never knew. Then a little boy ran toward me. He held a drawing. Are you Mr. David? Yes. He gave me the picture. It showed a house, a family, and a man standing beside them. Thank you for helping my grandma, he said. I held the drawing. For the first time since Helen died, I felt needed. Not because of money, because someone's life was better because of something I had done. That evening, I returned home. On the kitchen counter was another note, but I hadn't left it there. The paper read, Mr. Harrison, we need to talk about your house. There was no name, only a time. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. Then I looked through the window. Across the street, a black car was parked beside the sidewalk. Someone was sitting inside, watching my house. And for the first time, I realized Emily's trip to Europe might not be the only thing she had planned. The note stayed on my kitchen counter all night. Mr. Harrison, we need to talk about your house. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., no name. No explanation. And across the street, the black car remained parked until midnight. I locked every door. Then I called Robert. Someone is watching my house. Did you see who? No. Don't meet anyone alone tomorrow. Why would they want to talk about my house? Robert became quiet. Because your property is worth more than anyone realizes. What aren't you telling me? Your house sits beside land Northbridge wants to buy. How much is it worth? More than $4 million. I stared at the living room. For 40 years it had been my home. To someone else, it was a business opportunity. The next morning, Robert arrived before 9. At exactly 8:57, a silver sedan stopped outside. A man in a grey suit walked to my porch. He introduced himself as Victor Lane. Mr. Harrison, I represent a private development company. What company? I'm not authorized to say. Then I'm not authorized to talk. He smiled. Your house is standing in the way of a major project. I'm not selling. You haven't heard the offer. I don't need to. Victor opened a folder. $4 million. Robert stepped forward. Mr. Lane, this conversation is over. Victor looked at him. Mr. Hale, I expected you. How did you know I'd be here? Victor ignored the question. Then he looked at me. Your daughter believes you may be willing to move. My chest tightened. Emily told you that. She said you were lonely. That isn't an answer. She said the house was too large for you. What else? Victor closed the folder. She said you might be happier in assisted living. Robert took the documents from his hand. You should leave. Victor walked back to his car. Before getting inside, he turned around. Mr. Harrison, your daughter is already discussing the future of this property. Then he drove away. I stood on the porch. Emily was in Europe. But somehow, people knew what she wanted done with my house. I called her immediately. She answered after several rings. Dad, it's late here. Did you speak to a developer? What? Did you tell anyone I wanted to sell my house? No. Did you tell them I should move into assisted living? She became quiet. Mark may have talked to someone. Why? He was only exploring options, without asking me. Dad, it's your future. My future. Yes. You're planning my future while you're on vacation. You're making this sound terrible. Because it is. Mark thinks the house is too much for you. Mark doesn't live here. He's trying to help. Help who? Silence. Then I asked the question I had avoided. Emily, do you want me to leave my home? No. Then why did you tell people I was lonely? Because you are. And why did you tell them I might need assisted living? Because you're getting older. I'm 74, not helpless. You don't understand. No, you don't understand. She sighed. Dad, we're in Paris. Can we talk when I get back? When are you coming back? 2 weeks. Then enjoy your trip. Dad, I ended the call. Robert looked at me. What are you going to do? For years, I waited for Emily to choose me. And now? Now I'm going to choose myself. That afternoon, Robert took me to the Harrison Family Center. The director, Maria, was waiting. She showed me a classroom filled with students. Your foundation paid for this building, she said. How many people come here? More than 500 every week. She led me to a small office. On the wall were photographs of families. Every picture had the same words beneath it, because someone cared. I felt something change inside me. For years I believed my life had become small, but Helen had built something larger than I knew. Maria handed me a folder. We need a new director. Why? The current director is retiring. What does that have to do with me? Helen wanted you to take over. I laughed. I'm retired. She knew you would say that. Maria opened a letter. Helen's handwriting covered the page. David, if you are reading this, you have spent too long believing your best years are behind you. They are not. The people inside this building need you. I read the letter slowly. Then I looked through the office window. A group of children were waiting for lunch. One little girl waved at me. I waved back. For the first time since Emily left. I knew exactly where I belonged. I'll do it, I said. Maria smiled. Then welcome home. Over the next week, everything changed. I visited the center every morning. I met families, reviewed scholarship applications, helped organize food deliveries. People remembered my name. They asked for my advice. They listened. I stopped waiting beside the phone. Then on the 8th day, Emily called. Her voice sounded nervous. Dad, did you move money? What money? Our family money. What family money? Mark said your bank accounts changed. How does Mark know anything about my accounts? Silence. Emily, he knows someone at the bank. My hands tightened. Did Mark access my financial information? No. Then why is he asking? Dad, please answer. I looked at Robert. He had warned me this might happen. I transferred some money to the foundation. How much? That isn't your concern. It could affect my inheritance. There it was. Not are you okay, not why are you helping people. Inheritance. I sat down. Emily, I'm still alive. I know. Then why are you talking about my inheritance? I'm only being practical. No, you're being afraid. Afraid of what? That I may choose someone else. She stopped speaking. And that silence told me everything. The next morning, Robert brought me a new document. What is this? A legal protection order. For what? Your assets. Why do I need it? Because someone attempted to access the Harrison Trust last night. I looked at the report. The request came from an account connected to Mark. Then I saw something worse. Emily's name appeared beside his. I stared at the page. My daughter had not only discussed selling my home. She had tried to access money she didn't know existed. Robert looked at me. Mr. Harrison, you need to decide what happens next. I closed the report. Then my phone rang. Emily, I answered. Dad, we're coming home early. Why? Her voice shook. Because Mark found something. What? A document. What document? She hesitated. Something Mom left behind. I looked at Robert. What did it say? Emily whispered. It said you were never supposed to trust us with the truth. Then the call suddenly ended. And outside the foundation, a black car stopped beside the entrance. The same black car that had watched my house. But this time, someone stepped out carrying a sealed envelope with my name on it. The envelope was waiting on my desk when I returned to the Harrison Family Center. No return address, no company name. Only my name written across the front. David Harrison. Robert stood beside me. Don't open it. Why? Because whoever sent it knew you would be here. I looked through the glass doors. The black car was gone. Then I opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. It showed Emily and Mark sitting in a restaurant with Victor Lane, the developer who had offered me $4 million for my house. The photograph was taken 2 months earlier, before Emily left for Europe. Under the picture was one sentence. Your daughter knows more than she admitted. My hands tightened. Robert examined the photograph. This changes everything. How? Emily didn't simply hear about the property. She was involved. We need proof. I looked at the photograph again. My daughter had lied to me, but I still didn't know why. That evening, Emily called. "We're at the airport," she said. "You're coming home." "Yes." "Why?" "Because Mark found Mom's document." "What document?" "I don't know. He won't show me." "Then why are you calling? Dad, are you hiding money?" I stayed silent. "Dad, why do you care?" "Because Mark says the foundation is connected to our family." "It is." "And he says you moved money." "I donated money." "How much?" "That isn't your business." "It could be my inheritance." The same word again. "Inheritance." I looked at Helen's photograph. "Emily, when was the last time you called because you wanted to hear my voice?" She didn't answer. "When was the last time you visited without asking for something?" "Dad, that's unfair." "No, it's honest. I'm your daughter, and I'm your father. Then why are you treating me like a stranger?" "Because you treated me like I was unnecessary." She became quiet. Then she said, "I was angry. You said nobody needed me. I didn't mean it. You walked away after saying it. I'm sorry." Her apology sounded rushed, like she wanted something. "Emily, did you meet Victor Lane?" The line went silent. "Who?" "Don't lie. I don't know what you're talking about." "I have a photograph." She took a sharp breath. Then Mark's voice appeared in the background. "Give me the phone." "Mark is there." "Yes." "Put him on." "No." "Why not?" "Because he's upset." "About what?" "About the money." I closed my eyes. There it was, not me, the money. "Emily," I said, "come home. We'll talk face to face. We're already coming." "Good." Then I ended the call. The next morning, Robert brought me documents from the trust. "Helen added a condition," he said. "What condition?" "If Emily or Mark attempted to pressure you into selling your home, their access to the family trust would be suspended." I looked at him. "Access?" "Helen created a future inheritance plan." "How much?" "Emily would receive $9 million. "And Mark?" "Nothing." I felt relief. Then Robert turned another page. "But if Emily knowingly participated in a scheme against you, she could lose everything." "Could?" "The final decision belongs to you." I stared at the document. For 20 years I had protected Emily. Now I had the power to remove her from the future Helen had planned. That afternoon I received another call. This time it was Mark. "Mr. Harrison. What do you want? We need to meet." "Why?" "Because you're making a mistake." "What mistake?" "Giving money to strangers. The foundation helps families, and your family. My family ignored me." "You're being emotional." "No, I'm being careful." Mark lowered his voice. "You're old, David." I said nothing. "You don't understand finances anymore." "Then explain them." "The house should be sold." "No. The trust should stay in the family." "It is in the family. Emily deserves it." "Why?" "Because she's your daughter." "That doesn't answer the question." He became angry. "She sacrificed for you." I laughed. "What did she sacrifice?" "She checks on you. She called to ask about her inheritance. She worries about your health. She worries about my money." His voice became cold. "Listen carefully. If you refuse to cooperate, Emily will have no choice but to protect herself." "From what?" "From your decisions." Then he ended the call. "Robert, listen to the recording. You need protection. I need the truth. Then we should investigate Mark." By evening, Robert had hired a private investigator. 2 days later, the report arrived. Mark had serious debt, more than $2.3 million. His business was failing. He had borrowed money from private lenders. The Europe vacation was paid for with a credit card he couldn't afford. Then Robert showed me the final page. Mark had promised Victor Lane that he could convince Emily to move me out. In exchange, he would receive a percentage of the property deal. My house wasn't just valuable, it was his escape. And Emily had helped him. I sat alone in my office for years. I thought Emily had become distant because life was busy. But she had been planning my future without me. Then Maria entered. "David, are you okay?" "I don't know." She placed a hand on my shoulder. "The people here need you." I looked through the window. Families were waiting for food. Students were attending classes. Children were laughing. My life was no longer empty. And suddenly I understood Helen's message. She hadn't hidden the foundation to punish Emily. She had hidden it so I could learn that my worth was never dependent on my daughter. That night Emily arrived. She stood outside my front door with 2 suitcases. Her face looked tired. "Dad, come in." She entered slowly. Then she saw the documents on the table. "What are those?" "The truth." She sat down. I placed the photograph in front of her. Emily stared at it. Her face turned pale. You met Victor? Yes. You discussed my house. Mark arranged the meeting. Did you agree to sell it? I didn't know what to do. That isn't an answer. She looked down. Mark said you were lonely. And? He said a retirement community would be better. For me? For everyone. For everyone. The words hurt more than I expected. Emily, did you know Mark was in debt? She looked up. What? He owes more than $2 million. No. He planned to use my house to pay it. No. He planned to use your inheritance too. Emily stood. You're lying. I handed her the report. She read it. Her hands began to shake. Then Mark entered through the front door. Emily, we need to go. She turned toward him. Is this true? Your father is manipulating you. Answer me. Those documents mean nothing. Do you owe $2 million? Mark stepped closer. Emily, listen to me. He didn't answer. Her eyes filled with tears. Then she looked at me. Dad, I didn't know. I wanted to believe her. But then Robert placed one final document on the table. It was signed by Emily. She had approved a plan to move me from my home. Emily stared at her signature. Then she whispered, I thought it was only a proposal. Mark grabbed the papers. You don't understand. No, Emily said. I finally understand. She stepped away from him. Then Mark looked directly at me. His face changed. The friendly smile disappeared. You think you won? I stood. This isn't a game. It is now. He walked toward the door. Before leaving, he said, If I lose everything, I'll make sure you lose something too. The door slammed. Emily began crying. But before I could speak, my phone rang. Robert answered it. His expression changed. What happened? I asked. He looked at me. Someone broke into the Harrison Family Center. Is anyone hurt? No. What did they take? Robert paused. The original trust documents. Then he looked at Emily. And the security cameras show Mark entering the building. The security footage showed Mark entering the Harrison Family Center at 2:14 in the morning. He wore a dark jacket and a baseball cap. He used a key. He had a key, I asked. Robert paused. The center's old director gave him one last year. Why? Mark said he wanted to donate office equipment. Emily stared at the screen. I didn't know. Robert replayed the footage. Mark entered the records room. 7 minutes later, he left carrying a black document case. The original trust papers were inside that case, Robert said. Call the police, I replied. Emily stepped forward. Wait. I looked at her. Why? Let me talk to him. He stole legal documents. He's my husband, and I'm your father. She lowered her eyes. I know. For years, I had waited for those words to mean something. Now they finally did. Emily, I said you have one chance to tell me the truth. She sat across from me. Mark told me he had debt. How much? He said around $300,000. It was more than $2 million. I didn't know. Did he tell you he planned to sell my house? He said you wanted to move. Did you believe him? I wanted to. Why? She began crying. Because I was afraid. Of what? That you would leave everything to someone else. The room became silent. At least you're honest now, I said. Emily wiped her eyes. Dad, after Mom died, I thought you stopped caring about me. What made you think that? You never talked about your feelings. I didn't know how. You became quiet. I was grieving. So was I. Her words stopped me. For 4 years I had blamed Emily for leaving, but I had never asked what losing her mother had done to her. I should have called more, she said. I should have listened more. She looked at me. Can you forgive me? I don't know yet. She nodded. I understand. Then her phone rang. Mark, Emily answered. Where are you? Come home, he said. You stole the trust documents. You don't know what you're talking about. The cameras show you. Your father is turning you against me. No, I saw the truth. Mark became quiet. Then he said, if you tell the police, you'll lose everything. What does that mean? The documents are safe. Where? Meet me alone? No. Then say goodbye to your inheritance. Emily looked at me. For the first time, she didn't ask about the money. She asked, "Dad, what should I do?" I answered quietly. "Choose what is right." An hour later, Emily met Mark at a hotel near the airport. Robert contacted the police. They listened to the call. When Mark arrived, he carried the black document case. Emily stood beside the hotel entrance. "Give me the papers," she said. "Not until your father signs." "Signs what?" "A sale agreement." "For the house?" "Yes." "He won't. Then he loses the documents. They're his. They're worth millions." Emily looked at him. "Is that all you care about? Don't pretend you don't care." "I did." Mark smiled. "Then help me." "No." His smile disappeared. "You're choosing him. I'm choosing the truth." Mark grabbed her arm. "Let go," she said. "Emily, listen. Let go." Police officers stepped from nearby vehicles. Mark turned. He tried to run, but two officers stopped him. The document case fell. The trust papers scattered across the sidewalk. Emily watched as Mark was taken away. Then she called me. "It's over," she said. "No," I replied. "It's beginning." The next morning, Robert placed the recovered documents on my desk. "The trust is secure. What happens to Mark? He'll face charges." "And Emily?" Robert opened the final page. "The decision is yours. The trust gave me control over everything, the house. Only my name written across the front. David Harrison." Robert stood beside me. "Don't open it." "Why?" "Because whoever sent it knew you would be here." I looked through the glass doors. The black car was gone. Then I opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. It showed Emily and Mark sitting in a restaurant with Victor Lane, the developer who had offered me $4 million for my house. The photograph was taken 2 months earlier, before Emily left for Europe. Under the picture was one sentence: "Your daughter knows more than she admitted." My hands tightened. Robert examined the photograph. "This changes everything." "How?" "Emily didn't simply hear about the property. She was involved. We need proof." I looked at the photograph again. My daughter had lied to me, but I still didn't know why. That evening, Emily called. "We're at the airport," she said. "You're coming home?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because Mark found Mom's document." "What document?" "I don't know. He won't show me." "Then why are you calling? Dad, are you hiding money?" I stayed silent. "Dad, why do you care?" "Because Mark says the foundation is connected to our family." "It is." "And he says you moved money." "I donated money." "How much?" "That isn't your business. It could be my inheritance." The same word again. "Inheritance." I looked at Helen's photograph. "Emily, when was the last time you called because you wanted to hear my voice?" She didn't answer. "When was the last time you visited without asking for something?" "Dad, that's unfair." "No, it's honest. I'm your daughter, and I'm your father." "Then why are you treating me like a stranger?" "Because you treated me like I was unnecessary." She became quiet. Then she said, "I was angry. You said nobody needed me. I didn't mean it. You walked away after saying it. I'm sorry." Her apology sounded rushed, like she wanted something. "Only my name written across the front. David Harrison." Robert stood beside me. "Don't open it." "Why?" "Because whoever sent it knew you would be here." I looked through the glass doors. The black car was gone. Then I opened the envelope. Inside was a photograph. It showed Emily and Mark sitting in a restaurant with Victor Lane, the developer who had offered me $4 million for my house. The photograph was taken 2 months earlier, before Emily left for Europe. Under the picture was one sentence: "Your daughter knows more than she admitted." My hands tightened. Robert examined the photograph. "This changes everything." "How?" "Emily didn't simply hear about the property. She was involved. We need proof." I looked at the photograph again. My daughter had lied to me, but I still didn't know why. That evening, Emily called. "We're at the airport," she said. "You're coming home?" "Yes." "Why?" "Because Mark found Mom's document." "What document?" "I don't know. He won't show me." "Then why are you calling? Dad, are you hiding money?" I stayed silent. "Dad, why do you care?" "Because Mark says the foundation is connected to our family." "It is." "And he says you moved money." "I donated money." "How much?" "That isn't your business. It could be my inheritance." The same word again. "Inheritance." I looked at Helen's photograph. "Emily, when was the last time you called because you wanted to hear my voice?" She didn't answer. "When was the last time you visited without asking for something?" "Dad, that's unfair." "No, it's honest. I'm your daughter, and I'm your father." "Then why are you treating me like a stranger?" "Because you treated me like I was unnecessary." She became quiet. Then she said, "I was angry. You said nobody needed me. I didn't mean it. You walked away after saying it. I'm sorry. Her apology sounded rushed, like she wanted something.